what is up everyone, and SpongeBob, quit doing the actual balancing act please, because either way, we're still about to be collecting those golden spatulas, you know? Anyway, hey, what's up everyone, I'm Sonic the Hedgehog here, and I'm back for some more yet again for the likes of the Moxie Toys videos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom for the PlayStation 2, Nintendo GameCube, and Xbox specifically. So, last time we have managed to able to, well, continue exploring the rest of the jellyfish fields, despite the fact that we're still missing one of the golden spatulas left, and also we kind of missed out on quite a lot of Patrick's socks, if you will, but hopefully by that time we'll able to actually revisit this world and join out some form or another. So either way, I promise you guys I will able to get that last golden spatula for that world. So, but either way, today for this episode is the fact that we're about to be continue things on and move on to the next world in this game, which it appears to be by the forms of downtown Bikini Bottom. And for the sake of time, we're about to be, hopefully, come across into, well, just those familiar faces, including the third and the final playable character.
Downtown Bikini Bottom, once a bustling metropolis, now a debris-covered crater.
SpongeBob, the robots are destroying downtown Bikini Bottom. We have to evacuate!
All right, but it's gonna take a while to get all this dust.
Not vacuum, evacuate! We have to get everyone to safety.
Can we just load them up in the boats?
That won't do any good.
Why not?
Because the robots have taken all the steering wheels.
Couldn't we just drive in a straight line?
No, there are too many turns.
Those fiends, they've thought of everything. Never fear, Mrs. Puff, I'll get those steering wheels back.
SpongeBob, if you're involved, I always fear. But I tell you what, if you can pull this off, I'll give you a golden spatula.
How about a driver's license instead?
Nice try.
Alright, so here we are at the downtown Bikini Bottom. So as you can tell, that in order to be able to get from one place to another, as you can see, that most of those fences has been completely blocked off, and because of that, we need to traverse through different parts of the actual town. Even then, before we get onto that actually, here we have these those special collectibles, as you can probably see, that we're about to be collecting those steering wheels, because apparently, as one Mrs. Puff tells us, that these robots did manage to able to take them. And as a result, we need to get them back before, well, God knows if the robots were able to do some more destruction or anything like that, which we're not gonna let that happening, just because of how the fact that we're about to save the day, basically. So either way, let's just go ahead and, oh goodness gracious, this homing cannon sinks, which, by the way, this is super recommendable if you're able to do this, by the way, because unlike, well, I don't know about you, but either way though, because basically, what is going on with my right analog stick that it does like an analog drifting? God, I need to fix that out at some point. But anyway, for this particular first golden spatula we might as well get, and that was the fact that every time you're able to destroy those little Titan poles and anything like that, and then once you've done so already, once you're able to let the sink cannon decide to aim at that, and that way we can able to actually activate all 4 switches, and if you do so already, then this will obviously give us the next, well, the first golden spatula, for the sake of the forms of downtown Bikini Bottom. So as a result, if you accomplish that, in addition to let the cannon just got destroyed, and there we go, there's the first golden spatula in this world. So, and speaking of which, we need to, well, climb all the way up to that specific statue, and thankfully we can easily just manage to reach up by standing onto here, and there we go. Self-explanatory, but the only thing you need to be very cautious about is the fact that, again, if you get hit by certain hazards, like for instance I always attempt to get hit a lot by the forms of those sinks, because as a result, that's, you know, we're pretty much lacking with invincibility frames, you know, so as a result, we need to keep aware from that. There's also a, well, as I said before, some steering wheels that we need to get, but I might as well save that up until likely for the next part, because even then it'll take us some time, especially noticeable how the fact that before we continue actually, let me just go ahead and double check what is beyond around here, so that way we're might as well able to guarantee to able to get ourselves the, of course, the next sock, as you can see right there. And also some more shiny objects, as you saw. So, but either way, that makes it a little bit, well, commonly obvious. And by the way, if you go across the actual, those red lines right there, you'll attempt to able to get out of bounds, and as a result, the actual familiar hands will able to take you back to the safest point. So, I guess that makes it pretty obvious for the sake of time, but anyway. Oh yeah, this is gonna be every once in a while though. We need to activate those buttons in order to able to activate those gates. And also we can able to come across into the SpongeBob power-up, which you can only do that for quite a few times, but it's so likely in the later portions of the game, we might as well able to actually use that ability for quite a few bits. And now we're going to be introducing to ourselves the glove kind of robots. Yeah, I'm not kidding. That's what this actual enemy's name. So basically, differently from any other robots that we already face off against, these enemies only requires you to able to utilize the bubble bounce until you're able to actually just to destroy them. So, anyways, let's get the next underwear and some more shiny objects if we need some to able to progress for some parts of the world. So, but either way though, we can at least accept that. So anyways, let's go ahead and... Oh, really? I can't jump with it. Okay, I have to walk foot on that point right there. Luckily, if you do manage to accomplish certain parts like this, then it actually saves your progressioning in terms of the forms of bypassing that particular temporarily closed gate or something. So, pretty handy though, especially noticeable how the fact that, again, if you really want to be... if you want to look for those remaining collectibles, like specifically steering wheels as I shown you earlier, and also same applies to those shiny objects as you probably already know. So, but either way though, there's not much else I can discuss upon for that point. So, anyway, a few things I want to talk about this specifically, and that was the fact that today's day is of course the 3rd of June today, in this case in 2020. So recently, that both Jewel, the bird, or Makar, as far as I like to call her that, and also Defi, that both of the, Jewel and Defi are recently tackling through a redo Let's Play, or in this case a new Let's Play in general, for when it comes to, you know, trying to improve the better quality and everything. This time around though is Mario and Sonic at the London 2012 Olympic Games on the Wii. Because of that though, they actually getting really, well, we're getting pretty close towards the end of the series by this point. Well, to be more specifically, 6 entries of the series at this point in time. I know you guys are probably thinking about, what about the handheld versions? Well, again, as we established that earlier, it's the fact that we are still far lacking with 3DS capture device, so as a result, we have no idea how on earth are we able to record 3DS footage as of late. So, I know there's a way you can able to get up there, but even then, unfortunately I don't know if we can able to actually make it there. Hold on, let me just go ahead and try it. So if we jump on this guy, no, it's unreachable with SpongeBob. Thankfully though, as I said before, we was able to come across into ourselves the 3rd and probably the final playable character in terms of this game itself. By the way, something's worth mentioning too is the fact that during certain worlds, you can only carry up to 2 players at a time, or 2 characters at a time. Well, usually I have to say that we have to choose 2 characters at a time between each world in between. Because as a result, there's no way you can able to actually just switch between all 3 characters in one particular world just yet. I'm not exactly sure if the remake were able to actually fix that tradition, but we'll see what happens there. And so likely, I think we've got about 20 days to go until the remake is about to be releasing. So again, really excited, and I'm really looking forward to it. So, but either way, that makes it a little bit obvious for our specific stipulations as of late. So, before we continue, let me just go ahead and just go all the way from here and grab even more shiny objects, including the blue variations as well. So that way, it'll give me an opportunity to able to get ourselves a little bit of a boost when it comes to able to actually grabbing more shiny objects. I'm sure most people already know what I'm saying, but anyways, let's activate that switch, and that way it will close out this particular window. So yeah, it seems very simple and self-explanatory, but you guys already know about this.
This door is locked from the inside. Who would do such a thing?
I think you get the point there, Bubble Buddy. So yeah, because basically, unlike in any other, you know, buildings of this town, that, well, obviously, in almost every single building as of late, they don't have these little steering wheel, doorknobs or anything like that. But anyways, here's another sock right there. So, but either way, though, we can at least expecting to see how this goes. So, yeah, that's what I can really think about it. I do apologize if there are any lack of information I can able to think of. Probably because of how the fact that there's not much else I can say apart from the fact that, well, recently, that, you know, both Jewel and Daffy Duck are now doing Mario and Sonic at the London 2012 Olympic Games. And hopefully, though, the actual quality, the actual quality for that matter, is actually a lot better than the likes of how it does it in the past. So because of that, though, I just want to point it out. So, and also, if you really want to able to backtrack through things quite quickly, thankfully you can able to actually destroy those little fences, so that way you can able to actually go from one place to another really fast. Which seems cool and all. And similarly to say is the fact that this is one of the first worlds that you can't able to select Patrick from. Which I'm pretty sure is probably because of how the fact that, well, I really don't know if I can explain things that much because it's been such a long time since I actually know SpongeBob SquarePants all this much, compared to the forms of how it does it in certain other cartoons, like for instance The Simpsons, and also the same applies to the Powerpuff Girls, the original version, not the reboot because the reboot sucks, and My Little Pony Friendship is Magic, including Friendship is Forever, kind of show clips in particular. Or, if I like to call it, season 10-ish or something. But then again, that doesn't make it true from the actual continuity or something like that, because that was before the true finale thing exists.
Hi, Gary.
Meow?
Yes, thanks for noticing. I have been working out.
Meow.
Not done? Doesn't that mean...
Meow.
Oh, that's the entrance to the rooftops, which leads to the lighthouse? Aha! There's another golden spatula. I could really use that.
Meow.
What do you mean, get Sandy to help me? I can get through this.
Meow. Meow.
Oh, that gap looks big. Okay, I'm definitely not making that jump. How is anyone going to get across there? Uh-oh, more robots. Holy Dutchman's ghost! That gap looks impossible! And impassable! Okay, I'll go get Sandy to help me out.
And then we can now able to continue things on, and before we can carry on doing that, we have ourselves a the actual teleporting box that we can able to go from one place to another, and head on to the bus stop we go, and voila! We managed to able to finally get a chance to play as Sandy Cheeks. So, obviously, she made her first appearance in SpongeBob SquarePants, of course, and the actual episode's name is Tea at the Tree Dome, which I remember that episode very well, especially noticeable how the fact that since I was a kid, that I exactly know what this is going, where basically when Sandy invites SpongeBob in the tree dome for the first time, and then since that SpongeBob has been, well, a little bit weird lately, probably because of how the fact that he might be far lacking with water because he's not good in air, and as a result, Sandy, she's the only one that, well, I'd say she because she's a female, so as a result, Yeah, because she's the only one she can able to utilize air for a good amount of time. The only time exception, however, though, she's not very good at breathing underwater, because that's when her suit comes in. Or her helmet, I should say. Because that way, she'll able to give her ability to breathe from the actual air, or breath from air. Because, you know, ever since I would say in Series 3 or something like that, they did manage to get at the actual episode focusing on when Sandy was now usually just becomes like a bump to prove it, to able to actually just have felt, I don't know, it's been such a long time since I actually see the SpongeBob SquarePants TV series, because by the sake of time, I'm actually moving on to the forms of other cartoon shows lately. Like, I said this before already, but I'm not going to mention about this again, just because you probably guys should already know this by this point. That's not to say the actual show is not, it's not as bad, it's just that it has been such a long time since I actually watched the show. Well, the only best seasons I can think of, it was of course, the beginning all the way up to, let's just say in Season 3, because in Season 4 and onwards, it starts to get a little bit downhill. Mainly with, let's just say in Series 6, for example, that the episode called The Card. Oh, dear lord, whatever happened to Patrick on that episode? Like, I understand because of the forms of the actual comic relief, but I just hate the fact that the actual execution on that episode is just downright depressing to me. Especially I felt incredibly bad for SpongeBob for able to keep an eyes open with that rarest card, even for Mermaid Man and Barnacle Boy card number 54. But we'll discuss on that for a later time though.
Hey Larry, what's shaking?
Sandy! Boy, am I glad to see you. I need your help. My TV reception has been terrible lately. I need to have someone replace my old antenna with this shiny new one.
Yes, sir. That there antenna is shinier than a $3 bill. Well, why don't you replace it yourself?
I'm not really much of a jumper.
So, what's jumping got to do with it?
Because the old antenna is up there.
Woo! That's taller than a glass of Texas iced tea.
The robots have blocked off that building, and I can't do all those fancy moves you and SpongeBob do to get across these gaps. All I can do is flex! Wanna see?
Yeah, great. So what are you gonna do with the old antenna?
Oh, that? It's yours if you replace it with a new one.
Well, I have been getting bad TV reception in the tree dome. Okay, Larry, you got a deal.
Okay, now we ended up on the downtown streets on rooftops specifically, and this is one of the forms of how the fact that out of all the actual playable characters in this game, Sandy is by far is one of the best characters to use, because for one noticeable thing, dang it, I did not even noticing this from the start, Oh well, let's just hopefully we can make it this time around though, and there we go, that's more like it. Alright, so now we're gonna be coming across into those familiar enemies right here, and as a result, they're about to be start launching those missiles right at you. So as a result, you need to be very careful around here, especially that now we ended up on the rooftops specifically. And as a result, again, if you get knocked back, it's instant death. So you just have to be very careful with that. So, but either way though, let's just hope we're not gonna make it happen. Well, I say that because, well, as soon as I was trying to say that, because even then, no, it will eventually able to happening, and I do apologize for that little belchiness aside of that, folks, because I'm still eating some chili dogs lately. So as a result, I must admit that I do apologize. So, anyways, let's go ahead and yeah, in order to able to actually do this little the hover thing with her lasso or something like that. Basically, you have to press the X button 3 times in order to able to activate that particular ability. But she does have this cool ability rather, by able to, well, she still managed to able to utilize the double jump and stuff like that. But if you try to press the jump button for the third time, she can able to actually perform her lasso to able to actually hover in midair, which is actually a very recommendable move in my opinion, just because it makes the platforming segments a lot easier in certain levels anyway. So as a result, it will be really handy. Especially noticeable how the fact that, well, you have to hold down the X button in order to do that, because that way, whenever you let go of it though, then you're probably gonna fall off, no matter what. And also, you can able to actually utilize her lasso so that you can see those little Texas icons, because, you know, she always loves radio kind of Texas vibe. You know, with the episode Texas and stuff, that whenever she was upset about the fact that she wants to be going back into Texas, the actual town. But either way though, that makes it a little bit, even though it's hard to explain about it sometimes, as I said before, because it's been such a long time, you know, since I've seen a TV series and stuff. But hopefully I'll get around to it at some form or another when it gets like hot summer weather or something like that. But either way though, we'll see when that happens right here. But I digress. So, yeah, you have to utilize the actual, to get from one place to another, you have to simply just, well, you have to let the actual, the hands trying to tell you how you're supposed to log on into it, first of all. And that way, you can able to actually instantly get onto there, and eventually, as soon as you're able to actually just to hover for about a few seconds, it feels like, and you get yourselves another golden spatula. So as a result, yeah, she is pretty useful to use. And thankfully, since that the actual cardboard box was actually right near to us, so that way we can instantly manage to able to transport it back to where we got into, right where the checkpoint is. So how's that for that? So anyways, let's go ahead and continue, and hopefully we're not going to make a simple mistake unlike last time, because oh man, it's so hard to get used to with it sometimes. I understand because of how the fact this is all newbie to me, but trust me, whenever I manage to able to hopefully try to able to play a remake of this game at some point when that comes out on the PlayStation 4 for some trophies, and also the Nintendo Switch version so I can play on the go. That way I can able to actually get used to with the actual parts. But it's just the fact that since this is my first time ever experiencing this game, well, I did usually have this game for a very long time now, well, at least ever since, I would say in 2017 or 18, I don't know. It has been such a long time since I actually know how long that I have with this. So, and unfortunately, ironically, like I mentioned at the beginning on the forms of the third part, my beginning loading times actually just won't even load again whenever I start the game off again. Like, I can't even believe how it done that. I'm not exactly sure of how the fact that between, you know, all three versions of the game, specifically the traditional 3D platformer version, that the GameCube version runs just fine, and I'm pretty sure the Xbox version might be the same thing, but it's just that for whatever reason on my PlayStation 2 copy, it does attempt to able to give me some, loading times benefit for the doubts, because especially because it always gets stuck on, you know, copyright 2003 informations and stuff like that for the sake of time, and it's just that I just have so many bad luck with all these loading times aside. But either way though, that's all I can really say about this for the most part right here. So even though Sandy doesn't do the actual ground pound ability, unlike the ones and how it does it for between SpongeBob and Patrick, which that's fine because even then though, that she is like super useful to use, and especially really helps about the fact that if you're about to be getting yourselves, you know, some missing socks and also some remaining golden spatulas, if you really want to find them, well, you can just simply, son of a... Oh, I really hate the knockback right there. In fact, out of all the actual enemies I've actually come across into at the sake of time, well, at least until likely for the sake of this point, these particular guys, whenever they just try to shoot out these rockets at you, these enemies can be annoying at times, especially whenever you come across into those dangerous situations, like if they somehow manage to fire the actual missile at you, and then chances are, if you get hit by the actual missile or rocket, you get knocked back. So as a result, it's all about the retro good old days. I have no problems with it whatsoever, it's just that it tends to really bug me most of the time, especially how, well, unlike in, well, I would say in, well, for rare occasions in Super Mario 64, whenever you're trying to do some more speedrun tactics, and as a result, they always attempt to give them a little bit of a knockback occurrence, and I get a feeling that, oh, whew, that was actually pretty swell. Especially noticeable that I've managed to able to perform a lot of, like, some quick shortcuts into whenever I'm able to... I did not make it! Oh well. At least we got to this point right there. The only thing is kind of unpredictable to me, though, is the fact that every time you die, the enemies attempt to respawn. But then again, as I said before, you get infinite lives, which is actually super great for, especially if this is considerably a kid's game of some sort of. And as a result of that kinds of stuff, though, I honestly don't mind this at all. Sort of similar to the forms of how it does it in Super Mario Odyssey, whenever you attempt to die, then you would able to lose some coins rather than lives. So as a result, it does manage to get a benefit for the actual opportunities as such. I have no idea why I'm trying to say that right now, just because, well, again, there's not much else I can talk about apart from the fact that, well, something's worth mentioning about this too, about the fact that since we did manage to play Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition on the Nintendo Switch recently, despite the fact that we still have some fun with it, I do have some major issues with the actual remastered. For one thing, is the fact that much like in the forms of it, well, at least the frame rate is actually a little bit similar to the likes of how it does it in, well, between both the new 3DS and the Wii versions. I think that might be a, well, a positive thing, because it still runs at 30 frames per second still, which I always intend to appreciate. But, also another thing is the fact that the graphics and textures do look a lot more better than in forms of how it does it in between the two versions, don't get me wrong. However, there's one biggest criticism I have with the forms that remaster, and that's the resolution errors. Now, remember the forms of how the fact that, let's just say for example, in Zelda Breath of the Wild and Super Mario Odyssey, the resolutions on those two games has been super awesome, especially how, especially when they're undocked. They're always likely in 1080p and stuff like that, which is always a pleasure surprise to able to look at. And especially noticeable how the fact that if you play that on handheld mode, you get like 720p and stuff like that, which has always been a gorgeous thing to look at. Sadly though, that's not the case in Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition, because I'm pretty sure it might do the same thing as in the sequel, which is Xenoblade Chronicles 2, which I still find that game to be overrated personally. But as a result, it does manage to have themselves, well, I would say in docked mode, it's in 720p, which I'm alright with, especially noticeable how the fact that it's actually a little bit better than the forms of how it does it from before. However though, if you play this on handheld mode, it somehow makes the actual resolution decreases a lot. By consist of likely, it's hard to explain about this sometimes, but either way though, thankfully there was an option that you can able to do like a customizable resolution kind of mode. But we'll get into more on that whenever we talk more about it, whenever we get onto specific details aside of that, so. But I digress. So that's just a tiny little bit of a nitpicking right there, but I just want to point it out right away, so. Oh, really? Screw you. Screw you, you stupid little enemy. And unfortunately I have to go all the way back here, so I guess I have to make this a little bit of a count, so. Alright, let's just wait until... Jeez, those hitboxes are so big in this game. Even for the amount of explosions that you might able to consider avoiding. Alright, so let's just go ahead and, oh, that doesn't work either. Oh, jeez, this could take a while, folks. This could take a while. Especially noticeable how the fact that, again, this is like a retro game, but thankfully, at least I'm hoping anyway, the remake, whenever that remake will come out until at some point in 20 days time, well, somewhat lesser than that actually, because it was now 19 days. This is the most atrocious thing ever. I can't judge the actual knockback. I cannot stress enough how annoying the knockback it is in this game. Oh, jeez. Sorry for a little bit of a slap in my leg or anything like that, but it's just that sometimes it's pretty atrocious whenever you come across into those very stingy knockback, but apart from those side of things though, we did manage to pass it, so there we go. Oh wait, it took me a lot of tries to able to go past this part, But we have to take a break on Sandy for a while, because now we need to switch over to SpongeBob right here, because he's the only one who can able to, well, ground pound the switch. That way we can able to progress. So, and unfortunately for the sake of time, before we do anything like that, let's just activate that teleportation idiot box from represents the episode itself. And also let's grab Patrick's sock. And I'm afraid to tell you for this point, guys, we got the endings off at this point here. So join me next time on Let's Play SpongeBob SquarePants Battle for Bikini Bottom, that we're about to be continually exploring through downtown Bikini Bottom by simply doing some more things here and there. So see you guys on Friday. Later, fellas.